Good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited today to have Pastor Michelle Thomas. She is the president of NAACP of Loudon. Pastor Michelle, thank you for being here.
I'm
so excited to have you in our office
Yes.
to learn about the organization NAACP.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, what is it stand for? And tell us what is the history about this wonderful nonprofit?
Sure. The NAACP is a historic African American community or a historic nonprofit that's dedicated to preserving and ensuring the political, economic, and educational rights of African Americans and people of color. It was actually founded in 1909, so we're 116 years old now.
Wow.
And it was formed, and this is something that most people don't know. Even though the organization really focuses on protecting the rights of people of color, it was an interracial organization. So the founders were W.E.B. Du Bois and Ida B. Wells and several other people who were actually white.
Wow.
Actually white. And so, our country has always operated better together. And so even at some of the core of the advocacy groups and the historical advocacy groups that we find and we all utilize, it is a unity. It is a shared belief of humanity and shared belief of equality that brings us together. So the NAACP does the work to ensure that fairness and equality and discrimination is abated, right? And that fairness and equality is represented on every facet of our community, whether it's government or in business or in schools. So that's the NAACP. Now, in Loudon, the NAACP was formed in 1940. So we're only 85 years old in Loudon. So the branch that I am the president. And the reason why the NAACP Loudon was formed was because African Americans did not have equal rights in terms of education. And so the education in Loudon was segregated, black schools, white schools, and they were not equal at all in terms of facilities, in terms of transportation to and from school, in terms of lunches that was available, in terms of books and teacher pay, in every single, something as simple as you would think band equipment or theater equipment. It was just very, for African Americans, we did not have the support and that we needed from the Loudoun County public school system. So the NAACP was brought in after a community group tried to get additional education for high school students. So as a part of Reconstruction, it's a little bit of history, but as a part of Reconstruction, Americans were supposed to have public school systems. And so you have all of these public school systems that are, cropping up all across America. And then you have something else where you have private school systems where, a lot of Americans who were white just did not want their children going to school with black kids. So they chose to educate them in private academies. And as a matter of fact, the Academy of Loudon that we know now actually formerly existed in Loudon. It was called the Academies of Loudon, and it was segregated for that same purpose. Very interesting. So these parents got together. They were only, at that time, in the early 40s, African Americans only had access to 1st through 7th grade, and they knew that their children deserved a full education. And so a parent group, this is amazing, a PTA group called the Countywide League got together And it was just concerned parents and other folks from the community, some of them that didn't even have kids, but they believed in the right to education.
Wow.
And so they got together and they said, well, let's approach Loudoun County Public Schools. At that time, Loudoun County Public School was not interested. And then the countywide league said, well, you know what? We'll raise money on our own. We'll buy our own land. We'll build our own school. So they got together and they did bake sales. They had dances. The countywide league did.
Do you remember what year was?
Oh my gosh, this is about 1939.
Wow.
About 1939, somewhere between 38 and 39.
Yeah.
39, they're working together. They're having these dances and they're having these bake sales, and they raised $4,000. And that was
something.
That was
then.
a lot back
That
then.
Was
that was a lot of money.
then.
And then what they did was they pooled their resources with the $4,000, and someone donated the land,
Yeah.
so they gave it to them at a really discounted price, and so it was only $4,000 for about 7 or 8 acres. That is the current home of Douglas, the historic Douglas School.
Oh.
And so that is how the first African American high school was built. That was Douglas School. Loudoun County Public Schools came in subsequently after the community had secured the land. They came in and they said, well, you know what, we'll help you guys out. We'll help you guys out. So what we'll do is build a school for you. And they did. Loudoun County Public Schools actually bought the land from the community for $1.
Wow.
Just take a minute to let that sink in.
Wow.
You have a property that was purchased for $4,000, and Loudoun County Public Schools buys it for $1, and they commit to building a school. And they did do that. They built the school, but they didn't furnish it at all. So all of the furnishings had to come again from the community, from the black parents who would sew band curtains, from the black parents who would help fund desks and, you know, all the things that you would need. It still wasn't a fair, I know, it still wasn't a fair facility because transportation to and from school was still an issue. Facilities in terms of bathrooms, indoor, outdoor, still a huge problem. Also, teacher pay was a huge problem. They paid black teachers. Oh my gosh. The school board had the money.
Yeah.
There was a disparity in pay. So white teachers would get paid, 2 to 3 times more than black teachers. And so the NAACP was brought in to help defray some of that discrimination. So they fought for equal pay for teachers. They fought for equal access and amenities. They fought for equal education and access to curriculums. And little by little, the school sort of came up. One of the most beautiful things about this is the fact that communities can come together, work with other people, other groups in the community that have shared interests, and they can do the most amazing things. The most amazing things. There's an old saying that says, there's no telling, something like this, there's no telling what one could accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. If you don't care who gets the credit. And so you'll never hear this story told in a tense where the school board gets all the credit, or the NAACP or the countywide league gets the credit. There's so many people that join hands and hearts and money and skills to really develop this higher education experience for African Americans. Yeah.
And how did you get involved? So when did you came?
So like I said, the NAACP has been in existence since 1909. It actually started in New York, and they have branches all across the United States. The NAACP is known as the largest and the oldest, the baddest and the boldest civil rights organization of our time. That is the NAACP. So the NAACP has branches all across America. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in Atlanta. I was born and raised in Atlanta, and we had a thriving NAACP. As you know, Atlanta is the home of the civil rights movements. Dr. King pastored in Atlanta. So many different things happen in Atlanta, but they actually had branches, local branches in high schools And that's how I first became familiar with the NAACP. My parents are immigrants, so when they came from Jamaica, they didn't know anything about the NAACP. As a matter of fact, they came at the time. Actually, I think they finally got relocated here around '68, and that's when Dr. King got shot. So they came at a horrendous time. My father was the first black electrician at General Motors. He did not know a thing about the NAACP. But the good thing about immigrants, we always are coming looking for a better education, right? So what you don't know how to do, your children will do for you, right? And so they made sure that we were in the best schools. And in our school, I went to high school at Benjamin Elijah Mays in Atlanta, Georgia. And we had a thriving NAACP branch, and I joined that branch. I remember when I was about in the 10th grade, I think, there was something in Atlanta. Imagine, in the 10th grade, we're talking about 1988, maybe I was in 11th grade, 1988, and Atlanta was still desegregating. There was a part of Atlanta, Georgia called Conyers, Georgia. And Conyers had only had maybe about 2 or 3 black families to actually settle in Conyers, Georgia. And as a student, I organized groups of kids to go and sort of protest because they were trying to, integrate Conyers, Georgia, and the black families had crosses burned in their yards. I never forget it, just watching on the news and thinking, what century are we living in that this is still happening? Luckily, I was old enough to help, to lend a voice, to show up and be in the number. And I signed up that day. Unfortunately, I told my parents I was doing a ROTC event. So that's the Reserve Officers Training Corps. It was, that sort of ROTC, and I was on the drill team, and I made up some story saying that I was going to some sort of meeting or competition. And, like immigrant families, my dad worked, 2 shifts. My mom worked 2 shifts. Who would be the wiser? Except for Pastor Michelle jumps off the bus when they pull up to Conyers and says, "Who are you, you uncircumcised Philistines, to defy the armies of the Lord?" Oh, church girl, I didn't even know what to say. I'm quoting the Bible. I had no idea of what to say when you get to the front lines of protesting and marching for justice. I had no idea. So I pulled the best Bible verse I could think of, and I ended up on the news that day. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. I thought my world was ending. My dad actually saw that I was one of the students.
You're going to a meeting. Where are you going?
At least I'm quoting the scripture, what. But what I would say is, through these opportunities with the NAACP, I cut my teeth and learned how to advocate. Also being raised in Atlanta, which is, the home of the civil rights movement, I learned from the sons and daughters of the movement. So I grew up very in close proximity to Dr. King's wife. So Coretta Scott King, Andrew Young was, his kids went to school with me. Mayor Jackson went to school with me. His kids went to school with me. Julian Bond. So these are all went to school. His kids went to school. So if you're growing up, even if you're an immigrant, if you're in the right area, these civil rights leaders become your mentors. They do every teacher day, every invitation to speak. I was taught by the actual leaders of the civil rights movement. There's some things that I can get wrong, but civil rights and advocacy is something I can never get wrong. I was born to do it.
That's right.
I was born to do it.
I can see it in you and your passion. Tell us, so let's to talk about the NAACP. What is the different program you have?
Oh, great. So the NAACP advocates on several different levels. So economics, right? To advocate for fair business practices. also to foster a sense of business ownership. And so we actually partner with the Chamber of Commerce to teach our members how to effectively run businesses, right? And the newest best practices that you could think of, and also to get them access to different funding mechanisms, also to write grants. The Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce, who at this time the president is Angela Mitchell, and so
Scott Loftus right now.
She was the past president.
Interminute past chair.
Yes. And so it's a great training ground, if you will, for businesses, a great place to get connected and network. So that is one way in which we help our members just bring education, business education, and workforce development education to the community. Another way we do it is through voter education, right? So the political sense, and I would say public policy sense. We don't pick politicians, but we do advocate for good public policy that benefits all citizens. So knowing how to vote, knowing when to vote, being able to assess when voting booths or polling stations need to come online, making sure that people have transportation to the polls and understand who our candidates are. We hold 2 candidate forums every year. So if we have a primary, like we're having one that's coming up in June, we'll have a candidate forum in May. Right, so everyone, it doesn't matter if you're a member or not, the entire community is invited to come out and learn more about the folks that want to represent you, the candidates that are, on the ballot. And then also to have your issues heard. How is it that you expect to be fairly represented when people don't know you and they don't know your issues? And so when people see me, they know 2 things. First of all, I'm fighting for all of us. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter, where they come from. I'm fighting for everyone. Although I speak the Queen's English, born and raised in America, but I'm fighting for the immigrants. I cannot forget where I came from. I'm also fighting for the businesses, right? So I'm a 5-time entrepreneur. My husband runs a food truck. We were FedEx contractors for many years, IT government contractors for many years. And so I fight for the I've been there and done that. I'm fighting for the students. My daughter is a LCPS student at Riverside High School. She also is the president of the NAACP Riverside chapter, and we're fighting for student rights and access to equal and fair education, right? To make sure that we have the fair curriculum, to make sure that all of our kids can access the type of classes that they want to take regardless of their background. So there's a lot that we can talk about, but in a nutshell, you can think about public policy, you can think about economics. We do touch on housing discrimination, and housing affordability, especially in Loudoun County, is just out of this world. And so when you think about housing, you got to think about obtainable housing and affordable housing. That's 2 different things. So there's some housing that may be affordable to somebody, but not affordable to others. So we want obtainable housing. We don't want to just stop at the point of a medium income and that be the barometer for affordability. Affordability can span the gamut. We want obtainable houses. Can you get it? Can you get in a house if your credit isn't the best? Can you get in a house if you don't have a large deposit? And so that housing piece is huge for us. And of course, we're consistent to our original pillar, which was the educational piece. We're still fighting for equal education. I mean, unfortunate, the governor just struck down our African American bill that wanted to, that proposed to put African American history on par with any other history that we teach in Loudoun County. And we actually wrote a bill to help get graduation credits, so that African American history will receive graduation credits. That then will allow people who elect to take it to have them to meet their graduation requirements, instead of just casting it off like a extra class or extra elective that doesn't really go towards something substantial. We fought to get it to be an honors course, and so kids take an extra 0.5 bump. If they take this class, they get a 0.5 bump on their GPA. That makes it attractive. But the content itself, understanding that African American history is American history, that's something that the NAACP, I guess, will be fighting for years to come.
Pastor Michelle, from the time you became president for this organization, anything you did, you accomplished, you are really, really so proud of.
Yeah.
I know probably I can see your passion and your enthusiastic, heart you have, but something like you accomplished, you are so proud of, and I'm sure there's many.
It's many, but there's a few that will go down in the history books. I think first and foremost, as the president of the NAACP, I fought really hard for the African American history course. The former Governor Northam, actually appointed me to the African American History Commission, History Education Commission, and I work with my other commission members to help develop the African American history course, and then to fight and work with Loudoun County Public Schools to give it that extra bump. That is significant. That is significant. Helping students go to college. When I first took over or became president of the NAACP, I think the NAACP was given a scholarship donation of about $3,000 a year. About $3,000 a year. And sometimes it wasn't even every year that those scholarships was given out. Since I became president, I think in our first year we started at $10,000. Now we're all the way up to $40,000 in scholarships.
Nice.
And so we're helping about 40 students across Loudoun County, and these are Loudoun County residents. So the students have to live in Loudoun County, but they may not all go to Loudoun County Public Schools. So we've given away scholarships to private schools, to Duke Ellington schools in DC, and so we support Loudoun residents. And at $40,000 a year, I think that's significant.
Absolutely.
I think it's significant.
Absolutely. What about during the year? Talk to us about events. I know you have you do once a year like a big gala.
Yes.
If I remember. I was part of it last year. But
so we have two major fundraising events. One is coming up soon. It is our golf tournament. It is our annual golf event. And our annual golf event is a fundraiser, and all of the money that we raise on that day goes directly to scholarships. We normally raise somewhere around $15,000-$20,000 in our annual golf event, and it's at the Lansdowne Golf Course. So it is one of the premier golf courses in our area. But it's a fun time. Different organizations. We even have a group that comes from the Virgin Islands. They come and support our. I know, it's super cool. And so that's a huge one. And then our other fundraising event is our annual gala. This year, it's going to be held October the 26th. And the gala is going to feature a theme of Soul Train. Oh my God. Natasha, you better get ready. You better get your soul hair, girl. And so we're just copying the theme, or adapting the theme of Soul Train. It's going to be fun, good dancing. We'll have a first straw poll this year. We'll do our own straw poll. It's just a great way to give back to the community, and it's well attended. So that is something that we do. October the 26th. You can't miss it. Please check in. Our golf tournament is in June. I think it's about June the 16th. And then we have the Juneteenth event.
Yes.
Every year we have an annual Juneteenth march. It is super fun, super educational. We mark some of the historical routes that was taken. Unfortunately, there was a young child and 14 years old. His name is Orion Anderson. His name was Orion Anderson, and he was lynched and for scaring or playing a joke on a white student. And unfortunately, he was lynched and drugged down the street and hung and shot. And every year we walk that memorial walk and we tell his story, because for so many years, the stories of the lynching victims have been forgotten. That was another thing that the NAACP has done, is to actually create these memorials, 3 memorials in Loudoun County for lynching victims: Orion Anderson, Paige Wallace, and Charles Cravens. And so this is a great time. The food is good, the music is good, all the speeches are really, really good, and it's a great place to get in and see the community.
Yeah, nice. Wow, you're busy.
Busy.
What key things are you trying to accomplish from now to the end of the year, or any goal or any plan for 2026?
Yes. So this year is very, very important. It's a big year for Virginia, as we get to choose our governor, right? And so we get to choose our governor, and so elections are going to be critically important. We also get to choose House races, so the delegates race. We get to choose our delegates again. We also have some school board races that are up. So I think Broad runs, and also Leesburg is up. And so this is an extremely important year. Most people think that the presidential election is like the most important time, and I would argue with that, because the president election does not govern our daily life like the local election does. The trash that gets taken out, how much car taxes you pay, the schools in which your children go to. Those things are decided at the local level and also at the state level. And so our state politics and our general elections are hugely important. And this is, going to be a big push. Just getting to know the candidates, getting to know our rights as voters, and going out there and making our voices heard.
How can the audience get involved, and especially on the side of the organization? How
Sure.
can we help,
Sure.
as business or individual?
Sure. So first I would say, just like anything else in terms of business or organization, we're governed by the 80-20 rule. We're governed by the 80-20 rule. It's just a true fact that in whatever organization you're in, whether it's a Greek organization for business, your church organization, or your actual business, listen, 20% of the people will do the work of 80%. 80% of the people will, probably pay their annual dues, but to actually get their hands involved to the work, we need volunteers. If we're going to be able to really get out the voters and educate our voters, if we're really going to be able to do this work of preserving our history,
Absolutely. Helping scholarships.
protecting, helping scholarships, exactly. We need people. We need engaged people, and not just people to give their annual dues. So I would implore you to go to the NAACP website. It is naacp.org. Actually is naacploudon.org. naacploudon.org. And then you can first join. First, you need to join. Our branch number is 7084B. Don't forget to put your branch number in, so that when you sign up, your membership goes to the Loudoun branch. And then you want to learn more about our committees. All of the work is done out of committees. And so you need to learn about the committees and the programs and the different ways that you can get involved. And then tell somebody else about it. Bring your friends and family. Don't just join by yourself. Bring your crew. Bring your people. Hello, somebody. Get some your Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. Get everybody and tell them to join the NAACP. The business is also a bedrock of the NAACP. So joining as a business really help bolster. I'm here because of your business. I know that you got maids actually support our annual gala. So you're helping to send kids to school. You're going to always, at the very least, be a beverage sponsor. You're going to do something every single year. And I'm so appreciative for that. And I remember this week I called you. I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give back to who give to us. And I said, I have some things personally that I want to do. I want to take care of my mom. Yeah. And this is also an issue for, it's also an issue for a lot of Black people and people of color. We are in a sandwich generation where we're still raising our kids, and we're now taking care of our parents. And you know, I wanted to partner to see how can I get more help for my mom, and you know, you were able to work it out with me. But this is the breadth of partnerships. Imagine Microsoft is a partner. They make sure that we have training through the Loud and Freedom Center so we can train the next generation of IT professionals and executives that are underrepresented, and women. So we need good partners. Amazon is a partner. Always. Google is a partner. Always partnering with us, making sure that we have everything that we need to support the communities.
Yeah. Pastor Michelle, I can't thank you enough for all the information. I mean, I really didn't know the history.
Yes.
And that's huge. I mean, thank you for sharing with me and with everybody who is listening right now the history and everything you're doing on this organization. We appreciate you very much. I know I'm been following you, and I see all the hard work.
Thank you.
And you have a huge crew behind you too.
Yes.
You're not the only person.
No.
You have a team who work hard every day. So I appreciate you, and thank you for your time today, for coming here, spread the word, and tell us about your mission. And good luck with you, with everything you're planning to do in the future in our community.
Thank you so much. You're fantastic, and I'm so glad to be here, and so glad that you want to highlight our work. When we work together, we're working for the greater good of the entire community, not just one. We're better together. There's power in our unity, and so we have a theme at our branch, and it is the power of us. Yeah. The power of us. And so today, yes, and today I'll spread that to you, that you have us behind you, and I'm so glad that we have you behind us, the power of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time today.
God bless you.
We appreciate it.